What's up, guys? Welcome to Why Girlfriends English, and today we are doing a listening practice on part 1 of phrasal verbs of food.
Yes, today we're going to do some listening practice related to preparing food and to cooking the food.
So we might get a little hungry.
Like with all of our listening practices, the goal of this is not to use all the phrasal verbs that we talked about in our last video, but it's so that we can have some natural English conversation so that these phrasal verbs can pop up, maybe even find some new ones that we didn't teach you guys.
Happens all the time.
So that you guys can practice this and tune your ears so that you can hear these phrasals come up in a natural conversation.
Yep, so let's get started. What's the meal that your parents would whip up real quick on just a crazy day, a crazy night?
For some reason, my mom would always make mashed potatoes. I think I know it's not fast at all, really, but I think...
Like from scratch or from the box?
Yeah, from scratch. She would peel the potatoes, she'd cut them, she'd put them in a pot of boiling water, and she'd boil the potatoes. I don't remember them ever boiling over. She was very fast at it, but I think in her mind, the longest part of it was the preparing process. The cooking part was just kind of hands off.
That's interesting. Maybe she was thinking something that would fill you guys up.
Yeah.
So we're three boys.
Me and my two brothers. So it was like, how can I fill them up the fastest? Starch and carbs. Just.
It is an easy way, though, I would think, to like feed a lot of people.
Yeah. What about you? What's a quick meal that your parents would throw together?
Spaghetti or breakfast for dinner. Yeah. Those are classics.
I don't know if there's anybody else in the world can agree with us, but in America, we really like to do breakfast for dinner because it is quick. Yeah. Whether it's easier, but it's also tasty and
whether it's breakfast or toast and eggs and tomato like sandwiches or just eggs and toast, it's just super fast.
All right, so second question. When you were little, what tasks did your parents give you to do in the kitchen?
I think I started with like putting my dishes next to the sink.
Oh.
Yeah, like as a little kid.
Some cleaning up.
So if I make a mess, like clean it up off the table and off the floor. If I spill my drink, things like that. And like cleaning up after yourself, like a polite person. But the first like creation thing was probably eggs. Like scrambling eggs, because it'd be really hard. Like you can't boil them over. They're pretty quick to fry up, so little kids don't get like distracted really easily and walk away from a stove, which they shouldn't be in there alone with a stove anyway.
Yeah, I think also when you scramble the eggs, when you whisk them up, I think there's just kind of like it's fun for little kids to be like, I'm making a mess, but it's fun.
Yeah, with scrambled eggs, but I learned to do fried eggs first, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But it was fewer dishes, so you just crack the egg right onto the hot pan and then you see it cooking right away rather than like trying to break them into a bowl and then try to whisk them up successfully and then pour them into the pan, and then it was just far fewer steps, I think, just to fry them.
I cannot imagine looking at our 3-year-old now and be like, go fry up some eggs, like go fry it. Because when he cracks an egg and he breaks it open, like it's like
there's a lot of shell.
It's like shrapnel of like eggshells.
Yeah. Well, I probably helped with scrambled eggs originally, but like the first thing I can remember cooking start to finish myself was frying eggs.
Wow.
And I was able to see over the stove pretty comfortably, so I was probably more like 5. What about you? Ramen?
Yeah, probably. Ramen noodles. I mean,
boil some water, throw some noodles in it.
It's funny too because me and my brothers, we wouldn't actually boil the water. We would just like put it in the microwave.
Without the noodles?
Yeah, I just boil the water in the microwave and then combine it with the noodles.
Was it legitimately faster than putting it on the stove?
I don't know. Other than ramen, okay, because ramen noodles are a classic one. I would make bagel pizzas. Cut a bagel in half and then I'd put sauce on it and cheese on it and I'd throw it in the oven.
No pepperoni?
No, just cheese and sauce. When you were little, your parents would help have you cut out the biscuits, right? Or like cookies and stuff like that?
Well, in baking, yes. For like Christmas, we'd have like Christmas cutters to cut out the cookies. Like those classic sugar cookies. It's like butter and sugar pretty much. It's very soft, like Play-Doh like cookies. And then you have special shaped cookie cutters so you can press them out. And it's like a fun thing for kids to do that. Bake them. They bake really fast. And then you just decorate them with frosting. So the whole dinner table is covered in like white frosting or green frosting, red frosting. It's just different frosting colors, some sprinkles and things like that. And it's a great way to make a whole afternoon of like lots of sugar.
Yeah. But the kids are involved in every step, right? They like roll out the dough and they decorate everything, and so it's pretty easy.
But biscuits, I grew up doing biscuits too. I mean, you can't really mess up biscuits. So there were 3 of us, so all of us would have a biscuit cutter. We were like stamp, stamp, stamp. So when you're making stuff in the kitchen, what's something that you, like an ingredient you find yourself often swapping out or replacing with something else?
Well, since we lived in China, we got really used to swapping out butter with oil and trying to find other ways. We cooked this chocolate cake recipe for so long, and it just uses vegetable oil instead of the butter. And it actually is super tasty, super moist. It's a really good recipe.
But now here in America, where we have all of it, I think it's just whatever runs out first.
Yeah. Like, I mean, we really don't use a whole lot of shortening. So we tend to swap out that or just not use recipes that use that.
Or we exchange sugar a lot for banana or applesauce or honey. Yeah. We'll do that with honey too. So, or we just don't have the sweet in there. Yeah. A lot of American recipes we have found since living abroad are a little still too sweet for us.
There are some recipes that you'll find for American desserts or cakes or cupcakes or something like cookies. And if you put all the sugar that is in there, like you'll be eating grains of sugar.
Yeah. It's like the same amount as the flour in some things.
Yeah. Living abroad has definitely changed that for us, where we prefer cut the sugar in half. Sometimes we cut out all of the sugar.
Yeah.
You actually get to taste more of like the
other things. Yeah. I had no idea what chefs were talking about before when they were like, I want to balance the sweet and the bitter, and I had no idea what they were talking about because all I tasted was sugar.
Yeah. When you're frying something up, like when you're cooking something, what do you think that you fry up the most?
I don't do a lot of frying because little kids.
And also, I mean, it uses a lot of oil.
It uses a lot of oil, and then if you use that oil again the next day, it tastes like whatever you cooked the first time, so you have to cook the same thing again, really. When I do fry, it would be mostly probably chicken, and like cooking it in the way that I like it, where I can actually taste all the flavors in it and have more seasoning in it, better than KFC or things like that. But I might do that once a year. And we'll do fried okra, actually. That's something that's really common here in the American South because we have tons of okra.
Yeah.
But
it's still a lot of oil.
It's still a lot of oil. And then if I have the chicken and fried okra in the same meal, the thing that goes best with that is mashed potatoes and green beans.
Yeah. So which is just a heavy meal. Like
So we do that maybe once a year when we have like people coming over to help us eat all of that. That's for like full submersion.
Yeah,
like
deep
fry.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to just pan fry something with just a little bit of oil, I do onions and peppers all the time. Like just a quick saute, and I do a lot of
Chinese dumplings.
After we boil them, we'll put them in a pan and like make them crunchy on the outside. We love doing that.
So good.
So good. I like to sear our chicken as well. Makes it very like tender.
I will say that we do fry up bacon sometimes on special occasions. When you cook bacon, it basically deep fries itself because it's so thin
and
fatty and it's tasty, but you end up deep frying the bacon. What would you say are the tastiest leftovers to warm up?
Chili. So you get some beef and a bunch of different types of beans together, and there's a lot of seasoning, tomato paste, and you just make a big pot of it. And we're starting to cool down here. It's fall here in the American South. This is really good. I love just slow cooking this big pot of chili, having it with some cornbread and eating that up and just working through the pot every single day. There's just something about chili that sits for a while. The flavors just really come together, and it just gets better every day. In America, we actually have chili cook-offs all the time about this time of year. So I'm really excited for chili season.
Yeah.
But it needs to be cold so you really enjoy it. It needs to be cold outside.
It needs to be chilly.
It needs to be chilly outside to enjoy chili. Yeah. What about for you?
One thing I did see a while back is frying up or warming up your oatmeal. Make extra and then put it in a container, pack it down, and the next day you can actually cut it and then you can pan fry it and then warm it up that way so the outside gets kind of crispy.
Yeah, pan fry it in butter.
That's really tasty to warm it that way.
So what's something that's really good to cook out just year round? Like, it doesn't matter the season. It's not like hot dogs and burgers. It's like something that's good all year.
So my dad, he loves to grill out. If it was left up to him, he would cook out every day of the year. He's a larger man, and he would literally be outside waist deep in snow with a grill open, cooking barbecue chicken or smoked meatloaf and just ridiculous things. But I think, honestly, one of the best things is is probably like chicken or maybe something like pork butt or something like that.
See, for me, I just go for steak.
Just
I don't
go right to steak.
It's expensive, so we don't eat that much steak, but if I could, I would probably do that at least once or twice a season. That would be pretty
Even in the
great.
winter?
Even in the winter, yeah. Because if you think about it, what goes with steak? I mean, you could have like steak burritos. You could have breakfast burritos with steak. You have steak on a salad. You could have steak with like baked potatoes and broccoli.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Not just
flexible.
Like eating like a big, huge chunk of meat in like the dead of winter.
No, but something about like when it's cold outside and you're standing around a grill is also kind of nice. I don't know about waist deep in snow.
I love how in America it is actually like a communal tradition, holiday event that happens. It's just, if something happens, if there's an event like Labor Day or Memorial Day or something like that, some type of holiday, there's a good chance that Americans will be outside cooking out. I think it's great.
All right, guys. Well, that's it. Thank you guys so much for listening. And if you are unsure or you weren't sure what you heard or you need to go back and listen, a great plan for you is that Josh actually transcribes everything and he does a really good job of it. So you can actually go back, turn on the captions, read exactly what we're saying, and you can also practice by taking notes. Yeah. Mind map what you're hearing, make connections, and go back to the original phrasal verb video that matches with each of our listening practices so you can kind of hear what you should be listening for in context.
Next week, we're going to release part 2 of all these phrasal verbs of food with the lesson and with the listening practice, so be on the lookout for that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Bye.